What would happen if one of the oldest mysteries of the Vatican became reality in the next conclave? This is the question that echoes through the halls of the Catholic Church following the death of Pope Francis. As the entire world watches attentively to see who will be chosen to lead over 1 billion faithful. In this context of uncertainty and anticipation, one of the most controversial and fascinating theories in history resurfaces: the prophecy of the Black Pope attributed to the legendary Nostradamus. This alleged prophecy has not only captured the imagination of believers and skeptics alike, but has also fueled endless speculation about the future of the Church and, perhaps, the world itself. Nostradamus, whose original name was Michel de Nôtre-Dame, was a French physician and astrologer born in 1503, whose fame transcended generations thanks to his work, the Prophecies. Through a series of poetic quatrains, this visionary of the Renaissance claimed to have predicted significant future events. His followers assert that his writings have foreseen wars, natural disasters, and monumental political changes. However, the interpretation of his verses has always been a subject of debate due to their ambiguity and cryptic style. Among the many predictions attributed to this mysterious figure, one stands out in recent times: the supposed arrival of a Black Pope. In one of his most discussed passages, Nostradamus wrote, "Roman clergy, the year 1609. At the peak of the year, an election will be made of a gray and black one from the company emerged, who never was so malignant." These words have been the subject of multiple interpretations over the centuries. Some scholars and enthusiasts of his writings have suggested that this quatrain could refer to the election of a pontiff of African origin, while others have seen in it a symbolic allusion to a leader belonging to the Society of Jesus, commonly known as the Jesuits. The ambiguity of the words gray and black has given rise to various theories, each more intriguing than the last. Among the possible candidates who could embody this prophecy are prominent figures within the Catholic Church. One of them is Peter Turkson, a cardinal from Ghana, who has stood out for his commitment to social justice and environmental defense. Known for his progressive stance on issues such as poverty and climate change, Turkson has been repeatedly mentioned as a possible successor to Pope Francis. His election would mark a historic milestone, as he would be the first African pope in nearly 1,500 years, and could be interpreted as the literal fulfillment of Nostradamus's prophecy. On the other hand, Robert Sarah, a cardinal from Guinea, is also mentioned. His conservative ideas place him at the opposite end of the ideological spectrum within the Church. Recognized for his unwavering defense of liturgical and doctrinal tradition, Sarah represents an option that contrasts with the reformist approach of Pope Francis. While his election would not be seen as a radical change in ethnic terms, some believe that his membership in the Society of Jesus could fulfill the reference to the gray and black mentioned in Nostradamus's quatrain. Another interpretation holds that the prophecy has already been fulfilled with the election of Pope Francis in 2013. As the first Jesuit pope in history, Jorge Mario Bergoglio could be considered the gray and black one from the company emerged, in reference to the Society of Jesus. Additionally, his leadership style and pastoral approach have been described by some as a significant break with papal tradition, which could be interpreted as the fulfillment of the phrase, "who never was so malignant." However, this reading has sparked controversy among experts who argue that the term malignant could have a more symbolic or even negative meaning in the context of the quatrain. It is important to note that the Bible does not contain specific references to a black pope or prophecies related to papal succession in terms of skin color or religious affiliation. This has led many theologians to question the validity of linking biblical texts with modern interpretations of Nostradamus's prophecies. However, the mix of tradition, faith, and speculation has created an unprecedented atmosphere of expectation surrounding the next conclave. In the meantime, in the Vatican, the bells of all churches have begun to ring in memory of Pope Francis, marking the beginning of a period of mourning and reflection for the global Catholic community. The cardinals are preparing to meet in the Sistine Chapel, where they will deliberate in secret until white smoke announces the election of the new pontiff. This moment, filled with solemnity and emotion, will be watched by millions of people around the world who anxiously await to learn the identity of the next leader of the Church. The inevitable question on everyone's mind is, will one of these candidates be the Black Pope predicted by Nostradamus? Will the prophecy finally come true and bring with it the end of times, as some have interpreted? Or, on the contrary, is it simply another failed writing by the famous astrologer, whose words have been misinterpreted for centuries? Only time will tell whether this enigmatic prophecy has any real basis, or if it will be relegated to oblivion like so many other predictions throughout history. What is certain is that the figure of the Pope has always been surrounded by mysticism and symbolism, from the early days of Christianity to the present. Each papal election marks a new chapter in the history of the Church, and the possibility of a leader from Africa or Latin America ascending to the throne of St. Peter reflects the evolution and diversification of the Catholic faith in the contemporary world. Beyond apocalyptic or catastrophic interpretations, what is at stake is the Church's ability to adapt to the challenges of the 21st century and remain relevant to its faithful. In the meantime, rumors and speculations will continue to circulate, fueled by humanity's insatiable curiosity to decipher the future. Nostradamus, with his enigmatic style and ambiguous verses, will remain a source of inspiration for those seeking answers in the most unexpected places. And although the veracity of his prophecies is a matter of debate, his legacy will endure as a reminder that, in times of uncertainty, humanity will always seek signs and patterns to help understand the course of events. Ultimately, the election of the next pope will not only determine the direction of the Catholic Church, but will also serve as a mirror reflecting the concerns, hopes, and aspirations of a society in constant change. Whatever the outcome of the conclave, what is clear is that we live in a unique and unrepeatable moment, where the past, present, and future converge in a narrative that continues to be written day by day. The white smoke that emerges from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel will not only announce the new pontiff, but will also open a new chapter in the history of humanity, leaving everyone wondering what the future holds. And so, while the world waits impatiently for the outcome of this historic process, the prophecy of the Black Pope will remain a topic of conversation in forums, social media, and the media. Some will see it as a divine warning, others as a mere literary coincidence. But all will agree that the mystery and symbolism surrounding the figure of the Pope are elements that will never cease to fascinate humanity. In a world where faith and reason often collide, the search for answers remains a universal constant, and Nostradamus, with his quatrains full of ambiguity, will continue to be a beacon for those seeking to find meaning in the chaos of the future. Nostradamus's legacy, on the other hand, transcends the religious sphere and extends into the realm of popular culture, where his prophecies have been reinterpreted and adapted countless times. From books and movies to documentaries and television series, the name of Nostradamus has been invoked in contexts as diverse as science fiction cinema, historical novels, and academic debates on esotericism. His influence is such that even in the 21st century, when technology and science dominate much of our understanding of the world, we still find space for mysticism and speculation about the human destiny. This duality between the rational and the mystical is precisely what makes the figure of Nostradamus so attractive. On the one hand, his quatrains offer a window into the unknown, allowing us to imagine alternative futures and unexplored possibilities. On the other hand, his cryptic and ambiguous style forces us to question our own interpretations and recognize the limits of our understanding. In this sense, Nostradamus is not only a prophet, but also a symbol of humanity's eternal struggle to find meaning in a universe that often seems indifferent to our concerns. Returning to the current context, the election of the next pope will not only be a religious event, but also a socio-political phenomenon of global reach. The Catholic Church, as an institution, faces unprecedented challenges in the 21st century. From the credibility crisis caused by sexual abuse scandals, to the growing secularization of Western societies, to the need to dialogue with different cultures and religions. In this scenario, the election of a new pontiff takes on a strategic dimension that goes beyond mere spiritual continuity. An African pope, for example, could represent an attempt by the Church to strengthen its presence in the youngest and most dynamic continent in the world, where Christianity is experiencing unprecedented growth. A leader like Peter Turkson could serve as a bridge between traditional Catholic communities and the new generations of believers seeking a more inclusive and socially committed faith. However, he could also face resistance from more conservative sectors that fear a departure from established doctrines. On the other hand, the election of a Jesuit pope, as happened with Pope Francis, could be interpreted as an attempt to maintain the reformist course initiated in 2013. The Jesuits, known for their emphasis on education, social justice, and doctrinal flexibility, have played a crucial role in the modernization of the Church in recent centuries. However, this option could also generate internal tensions, especially among those who prefer a more traditional and centralized approach. In any case, what is at stake is not only the future of the Catholic Church, but also its ability to reinvent itself and remain relevant in a constantly changing world. The prophecy of the Black Pope, regardless of its historical or theological validity, serves as a reminder that the Church has always been in dialogue with its time, adapting to the needs and challenges of each era. And although interpretations of Nostradamus may seem extravagant or exaggerated, the truth is that they reflect a fundamental truth. Humanity has always sought signs and patterns to help navigate the uncertain ocean of the future. In conclusion, the death of Pope Francis and the imminent election of his successor have sparked renewed interest in the prophecies of Nostradamus, especially in the mysterious figure of the Black Pope. Although these interpretations lack scientific or theological basis, their symbolic power and ability to capture the collective imagination are undeniable. What is clear is that beyond speculation and theories, the next conclave will mark a decisive moment in the history of the Catholic Church, with implications that transcend the religious and extend into the political, social, and cultural spheres. When the white smoke finally emerges from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, the world will know whether this prophecy has any real foundation, or if it will remain as another page in the book of historical curiosities. Until then, we can only wait and observe, aware that the future is always full of surprises that defy our most deeply rooted expectations.